Welcome to Not Just a Transaction, the podcast series hosted by experienced real estate authorities Nick Prefontaine and Zachary Beach. Each week, the hosts bring you expert guests to help you navigate the many creative options available for buying or selling a home, while cutting out the costly hurdles of a conventional real estate deal. Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Not Just a Transaction. I'm your host, Nick Prefontaine. Joined along with me today, I'd like to give a special welcome to Scott Ulmer. Now, Scott has always had a passion for real estate. At just 14 years old, Scott bought his own home after buying and selling a car he found at a yard sale. From then on, he knew he had a natural talent for negotiating and selling homes. Recognizing his yearn to be part of the business world from a young age, Scott graduated from the Ohio State University with a degree.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. With a degree in business, finance, and communication studies. After graduating, he won the 20 Under 40 award at 26 for a business he founded called Aspiring Minds of Toledo. Scott then entered his family real estate business that ended up being far from what he expected. Though the outcome of his family business was not ideal, Scott did gain proficient professional skills, and expertise he has used throughout his career in real estate. Now, Scott recently started his own company dedicated to mentoring and training those who want to become real estate agents or who wish to become a property buyer or seller. Scott has experienced over 1,500 lease options, land contracts, owner financing, subject tos, acts, and now wants to share his business strategies with the world. Scott is a compilation of videos and other mentoring resources that help his clients learn about these kinds of investment strategies so they can excel in the world of real estate just as he has. So Scott, I know that was a mouthful, but I think it was a mouthful because of all that you've accomplished and all that you've been able to accomplish with your life and your career as well. So with that, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, let's get right down to it. Let's jump into it now. Aside from the bio that I just read, as eloquently written as it was, tell the listeners right from you who you are.
Great. Well,
Give
thank
them
you.
A taste of that.
Yeah. So, well, as you mentioned, and thank you for that introduction. It is a little bit of my past, my history. I had some help at 14. I will admit that, but was my first house bought and sold. What was really kind of funny is I was sharing this yesterday with somebody that when I first started speaking and more so getting out there with my business and promoting it, I thought it would be neat to share the first house I ever bought, which was actually at 1010 King Street in Toledo, Ohio. So I went to Google Maps, pulled it up, and lo and behold, it was a parking lot at this point. So it was not a special place that they were tearing down to rebuild. It was, I paid $1,500 for it. Now this was about 30 years ago. So it certainly wasn't special then, and it wasn't special enough to last very long, but that was my first entree and really got me hooked into it. And I come from a family of real estate folks. And so I really was a real estate, kind of a real estate kid, if you will, coming up, and was able to kind of learn the ropes early on, was dropped off with my younger brother, who's 3 years my junior, in the middle of, not so special neighborhoods with a pair of gloves and garbage bags to clean them out. And we'd paint them and kind of learn the ropes from the inside out. And so anyway, fast forward the tape. I'm down here in Jacksonville, Florida, and I started a company called Little Pink Houses of America. And we've been in business going on 8 years now. And we have 87 affiliates in different markets across the country. Maybe I should say we have 87 markets around the country with folks that are really under our umbrella, that are trying to create homeowners, which is one of our missions that I suspect we'll touch on at some point today. And but they're out there kind of investing and doing deals under our umbrella. And so the School of Hard Knocks was certainly where I got my education. I've made a lot of mistakes over the years and one of the mantras that we have here is it's okay to make mistakes. Everybody makes them, but what we hope is, number one, you don't sink the ship with the mistake, but more importantly, that it's okay to make mistakes. I think it's important for people to understand that you try to learn from them, and obviously, ideally, not repeat them. But through those mistakes, I figured out what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and continue to focus on those things that did, and ultimately have built a company here. And proud of what we do, and we have a lot of growing to do and a lot of room for improvement. But I'm excited about where we are and the path that we're on.
Well, that's awesome, Scott. I don't know if you knew this about me, but I similar background as you. Grew up in a real estate family. You know my father,
Mm-hmm.
Chris. So I grew up in a real estate family. When I was young, I was going to all the job sites and cleaning them out and doing the same things that you were. But then I got my start when I was 16. So you beat me to the punch. You were a little earlier than me, but I got my start when I was 16, door knocking, pre-foreclosure doors, and basically
Wow.
notice of default doors.
Sure.
And for someone that hasn't gone through like something similar to that, you saying I was dropped off in some not so nice areas, so you understand what I'm saying by where I would door knock would be not so nice areas of cities, because I would pick my 16-year-old mind. I would pick the highest concentration of these NODs. To me, it didn't make sense to drive all of a creation. I just wanted to hit the most amount
Sure.
that I could in a day. Ended up being not the best areas to buy houses, but we did buy a few right in those areas, and we were able to help some families out. So
That's fantastic.
I can really relate to you when you said you were dropped off in some not so nice areas. That's where my mind immediately went.
Yeah, well, it's neat that you had a lot of the similar experiences in working on the homes and really learning it from a young age, from the inside out. I'm sure that has served you well and will continue to.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. You don't forget it. That's for sure. When you're face to face with someone that's in a distressed situation, they open their door. You better have something good to say at that point, or else.
Yeah. And I give you a lot of credit for knocking on doors. That there are, some folks, as you know, have a challenge just picking up the phone, and that's one of the things that we work on with people is just getting the confidence to pick up the phone. But for someone to show up at your door, or for you to show up at someone's door, I should say, and have the courage and the chutzpah to knock on the door and have things to share with them, ideally in a scenario you're able to help them out. I give you a lot of credit there, because that's not an easy thing to do. And so that was certainly the learning baptism by fire, jumping right in and knocking on doors.
Well, thank you for saying that. It was I don't think I knew any better.
Yeah, right. Sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah. So now the second question, like we already covered who you are. What is it? Get a little bit more, dive a little bit deeper into what it is you do. I know you touched on it, you breezed over it, but tell us a little bit more about how you're affecting people.
Sure. So when I started my company here, actually, how I had met your father, by the way, I had worked for a gentleman named Ron LeGrand and ran his real estate operation for a few years, and had the privilege of working with a lot of high level folks like your father. And we've had a relationship ever since. And I just think he is as good as they get. So when I stopped working for Ron and I started this company, I have done deals my whole life, and I love doing deals. And in fact, we were joking a few minutes ago, I'm kind of a deal junkie sometimes, but you love doing deals, and that's what you do. At a certain point, I realized, Nick, that as much as I love doing deals, I can only grow so much doing deals myself and doing deals in my own city or my own backyard. And I actually had a chance encounter back in 2004. We kind of a long story that isn't worth sharing on this, but I was introduced to a franchise real estate attorney. And still to this day, this was 16, 17 years ago, that area of law, franchise law, is kind of niche specific. There's not a ton of franchise lawyers out there, at least my knowledge. And so when I had an opportunity to meet with this person, I shared kind of our business model at the time. We were just in one city. And after a 2-hour lunch and laying things out, he felt that we had the ability to really replicate what it is we did in other markets around the country. So again, 17 years later, I guess it would have been maybe 10 years later or so, was able to really put that in play. And And so what we do here, we have really a simple mission statement, is that we create homeowners, and we're in the business of helping people. We obviously are a for-profit company, and so we don't make bones about that. But our mission is very simple. We want to help people that can afford a mortgage, can afford a down payment for a lot of reasons, may not be able to walk into a bank today, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and qualify with them for a traditional or institutional mortgage. What we do is, if they can afford the down payment, afford a monthly payment, of course, everyone has to live somewhere. Self-employed people are a big demographic for us. Folks that generated large income may write most of it off. Someone's gone through a divorce, maybe have some credit hiccups. Lord knows, as we're just getting to the tail end of COVID, millions of people that were affected from COVID, and whether they lost their job or laid off, whether they experienced setbacks in any way, shape, or form. We're starting to see a lot of that right now. I think as we're at the tail end, we're seeing some of the aftermath of COVID really affecting people. So we're seeing that, as well as potential buyers for us. But again, if you can afford a mortgage and a down payment, you're looking to buy a home but can't get qualified for a bank, we have a very structured way that we can sell you a home. We qualify a certain way, take a lot of time up front just to make sure that it's the right fit. We want to set everybody up for success. And so we will work with people. We actually work with a bank that will lend them the money before we decide if we're going to lend them the house. And so we'll meet with them, meet with the bank. The bank will do a qualification on them and say they're not qualified today, but if they do these 5 or 6 things over the next 12 to 24 months, we'll write the loan if they follow this blueprint that we create for them. So we will then interview our buyers, make sure that they're comfortable and understanding and aware of what's expected of them. If they follow this protocol or this blueprint, they should be a successful homeowner, and we're going to be there every step of the way with them, and we're going to work with them to the finish line, and that includes working with a lender. And so our program is really surrounded around buyers. Now, we also work with sellers, and obviously we buy homes for cash. We also have other ways that we buy, where if a seller is able to wait for a short period of time, typically 12, maybe 18 months before getting their full cash out, we can usually give them some money up front, payments along the way, and obviously a big payday or cash out at the end of that term. They can make a lot more money doing it that way. Now, not every seller has the ability to wait for 12 months before getting their cash out. Some have to sell today. They want to take the money, go buy another home or whatever their plans are. So waiting isn't for everybody. But the sellers that can wait, we usually can generate about a 10 to 15% additional return on top of what they would sell it even at a full price in a good market. So we have the ability to work with both parties. But I would probably boil it down, Nick. One of the mantras we subscribe to here is a term called preeminence. And preeminence simply means that if we put our clients' needs ahead of ours, whether it's a buyer, seller, investor, somebody that is in any way, shape, or form wanting to work with us, if we put their needs ahead of ours, regardless of what the benefits are to us, we find that that doing business that way, it just yields really good results. And so there's times where we'll make a little less, but we have a happy client, happy customer, and that's really important. We hope they tell their family and friends about us, and ultimately have spin-off business from that. So we take that position of what can we do for our clients first, and we hope to benefit. Again, I made the statement a couple minutes ago, we're for profit. We don't make bones about that, but we do well for ourselves. We make a good living, but we also believe in having a profit without a purpose. We believe only goes so far. So we want to be purposeful in what we do, and again, kind of take that preeminent approach with our clients, and had a lot of success doing it. We want to create 10,000 new homeowners by 2025. So we've got some work to do. We got a long way to go, but with the right people in markets across the country, we think we're able to get there. And that is our big goal, by the way. That's our big internal goal, is to create 10,000 new homeowners within the next really 4 years at this point. And so we're working hard every day to do that.
Wow, that's awesome, Scott. A lot of what you said it aligns with our values. So a lot of what you said, like, you help a lot of self-employed people that are going through credit challenges, like a divorce or something like that. Those are exactly the types of buyers that we work with as well. A lot of our values align. And I would say that there were just a few important things in what you said about kind of your path for the buyer and getting them a roadmap and a game plan to get their own loan. We're in alignment with you in that regard. So definitely appreciate that. One of the things that we do, so I don't know, my role in pre-property solutions is working like hand in hand with our rental home buyers. So it's not only initially talking to them where it's getting them into the home and getting their next step forms back, but it's also meeting with them for a buyer's meeting, and then going forward, if we accept them at the closing, as we like to call it, with the attorney. It's not just that. It's not just front end loaded. It's all throughout their agreement that they have with us, so that by the time they do get to the end of their rent to own agreement, they're a slam dunk. They're going to be able to get their own loan. So that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, is our systems and processes are in place to get people to the finish line. And I think that's a big gap that's missing in the marketplace. So I definitely appreciate that you're on the same track as we are in that regard. Now, finally, Scott, I wanted to ask you, why is it not just a transaction to you? In other words, why do you give a shit?
I was waiting for that. So that's a great question. And you were kind enough to let me know that that might be coming. So thank you for the heads up there. So now it's a great question. And of course it makes me chuckle. And I'll kind of maybe reiterate some of the things I said a minute ago, but we care about our clients, and it's not cliche. It's not, just spouting off here on a podcast. We really internalize that. And sometimes even maybe too much, I'd argue, sometimes we live or die on the deals, more so for our clients in some cases than ourselves, even though we stand to make a nice profit. So we care, and we give a shit, because we believe that by doing good things out there and really taking the platform that we feel we've been blessed with. And we're very spiritual at our office, and we want to look at things in a certain way. And so we're grateful. We have big hearts of gratitude, and we believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. And so, again, we're for profit, but we want to go in and make sure that in the process of making good profit, we're able to hopefully impact people's lives in a positive way. And so I'll never forget, actually, it was Shark Tank. And I remember Lobster's brother, brother's lobster, cousin's lobster. It was a family type name. And do you remember that?
Yep.
And you know what? They're probably from where you are. Now that I think about it, up in
Maine. Yeah.
yeah, right.
I
So
believe it's Southern Maine. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, and they were on Shark Tank, and Barbara Corcoran was their investor. And one of the things that stuck out, in fact, this was right before I was getting ready to start my company, and my mom had called me, which is really funny, and said that she was watching Shark Tank and saw Barbara Corcoran and these lobster cousins or brothers lobster, whatever it was, and one of the big components of their company, and I don't know if it was a big part of their pitch or just a part of who they were, was giving back. And a portion of their proceeds were going to go to some sort of a charity, and they also were giving back in I guess physical ways, doing Habitat for Humanity and other kind of things that were maybe more tangible as opposed to just giving. And it was a part of their business strategy. It was a part of their company, and so important, or so at least that's the word my mom felt, that she wanted to call me and tell me that. And so when we started Little Pink Houses of America, and our website is Pink Houses of America or littlepinkhouesofamerica.com, we had a commitment that we were going to take a portion of every deal that we did and give it to a charity. So we actually found a charity early on, and it's called Little Pink Houses of Hope. And yes, there's a play on the name. We like the name. That's what caught us. It's very similar to ours. But what's really neat about them, and I'd like to just spend 30 seconds on them, is
Please
that
do. Please do.
they thank you. They the founder of the organization went through breast cancer, and we had the distinct pleasure of her visiting our office. It was kind of a funny story that she kept seeing these donations coming in from Little Pink Houses of America, and one after the other. And at some point in time, she just picked up the phone and called us, said, who are you guys? We keep seeing these donations. And they were actually going to an event or a retreat that they do, and they were going to be driving near Jacksonville. So they asked if they could stop it and meet us. And Nick, I got to tell you, man, we were honored by that big time, because they're a great organization, and just the simple fact they wanted to say hello to us really meant a ton. But the purpose of their charity is, when women going through breast cancer, there are so many opportunities for them to talk with other women going through breast cancer. There are a lot of forums and platforms that's available. What there aren't a lot of platforms for are the husbands and the kids. getting the chills, by the way. That always tells me that I'm saying something good here. But what she wanted to do was create a platform where the family members of those going through breast cancer could talk with other people, could mingle with other people, could ask questions, could cry together, could laugh together. And so they set up this forum where they go on retreats and the families go. And it's kind of a couple of days where you can forget about all the challenges in life and just get away from things. And again, be around some similar families that are going through similar things. And for $562, and I remember that number distinctly, they'll send a family of 4 on a 7-day vacation. Now, there's other people that contribute, and other people contribute the home and the retreat and food and things like that. But for $560, that was the contribution they were looking for. So we're very proud that we've been able to send dozens of families on those trips, and ultimately it's a great charity. So having said that, thank you for that little plug there, or the time for that plug, Nick. But we believe in giving back. And so I think that if you're out there and you're looking to get into real estate, or if you're just a buyer or seller, or you're in a business totally separate and listening to this, having a part of your business that is designed to be responsible and giving back to the community that you're doing business in, I just think is a recipe for a long-term success. I think those that don't have it, which are a lot, maybe many businesses more than not, I feel like it's just a missing component. So when you give a shit, it makes a big difference. And I love the question, and I appreciate you asking it. But we take that preeminent approach to all of our clients. And again, we're trying to do good by them. And we think that comes back to us in many ways.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for sharing. I think it's a human thing. It's not a business thing. It's a human thing. You should, if you're fortunate enough to give back, I do myself, 10% of whatever I make, but if you're fortunate enough to give back, you should. It's it doesn't matter. Like, I appreciate, Scott, that you say it's like a value of yours or a mission that you want to give back. But I think it's really a human thing. I think everyone, if they're lucky enough to be in a position where they can give back even a small amount, I think it's so important. So I thank you for sharing that. And absolutely, we could go another 15 minutes talking about that, charities and giving back. I love that stuff. So thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing your expertise a little bit here with the listeners on the show. This has been another episode of Not Just a Transaction. And most of what we talked about today will be, chances are, in the show notes. So make sure you're looking at the show notes. And thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Nick, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
I think that was a lot of value we were able to provide everyone today. So appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Thank you, sir. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
See you soon. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not Just a Transaction. If you want to learn more on selling a home, buying a home, or resources to learn more, head on over to our website at originalre.com.